Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion. And today we need to look at something that Boruto Chapter 75 set up, but from a different perspective, which is we were teased with future events by having Boruto use Momoshiki's power to see into the future, and we saw utter chaos. We saw Team 10 confronting someone, though we didn't know who exactly it was. We saw a manhunt for an unnamed individual that drew out so many Konoha shinobi. We saw Sarada scouting for Mitsuki entering into Sage mode in a bloodlusted fashion, and we saw Kawaki with blood on him in his fully transformed Karma state, looking like he was ready for battle. Now, we talked before about why this was needed for Sarada and Mitsuki, since their goal to reach Otsutsuki level would now have a clear face for them to target their former teammate Kawaki. However, I want to explore this from a different angle. I think if we're going to get Kawaki, the heat that it looks like he's about to get, it's not enough for him just to want a little bit of the smoke. You gotta have Kawaki written in a way to where he goes for all the smoke, burning everything to the ground in the process, and goes off the deep end to really make the split that it feels like we're gonna get, make it feel like we've lost something precious. Which brings me to something that one of you guys suggested a while back when the chapter first came out, which is that the best way to rip the band-aid off of Kawaki is to have him kill Mitsuki. Now, before the Mitsuki fans, all 1,000 of them, jumped down my throat for even suggesting this, especially after we, for the very first time ever, got to see Mikio Ikimoto's take on Mitsuki's Sage mode, which up until now has only ever been drawn in manga format by Naruto series creator Masashi Kishimoto during the promotional one-shot known as the Mitsuki Origin Story chapter. Look, I get it, we all love Mitsuki, but I do think that there's something that could work here if you cross the line and you decide to kill him off. Let's look at what we know based off of the characters of Kawaki and Mitsuki. These are two characters who got that demon in them when it comes to fighting, and they're very strong-willed. When we first saw Kawaki fight, especially in the anime version of his introduction, we saw someone fighting with clear combat experience, going for blows that weren't meant to stun someone, but rather inflict serious harm and ultimately kill the person that they were fighting. When we see Mitsuki when he was first introduced, we saw at times that Mitsuki had a bit of a savage nature to him that he was keeping in check. Had Boruto not been there, he would have killed Sumire. He tried to snap the neck of Shizuma in the Hidden Mist field trip arc, but it ended up being a water clone. We've seen that the boy has no problems getting his hands dirty in ways that go against the very soft nature of what we've seen of a lot of modern era Konoha shinobi, where they fight to suppress and contain the threat, which is the opposite of Mitsuki, who was raised by a Kage killer in Orochimaru, and Kawaki, who was trained by the vessel, one of the strongest Otsutsuki that we've ever seen Naruto fight in this series. When you pit the two of them together, when they're both pissed off, it's going to make for one really awesome fight. Mitsuki in the manga chapter was clearly enraged, and the one thing we all know that sets Mitsuki off, if someone presses the Boruto button, the guy is ready for all the smoke. That's the easiest way to bring that dog out of Mitsuki, and we have the foreshadowing that he bared those fangs at Kawaki at some point in the story. It was Mitsuki who was the first to poke holes in Boruto's story about Code trying to kill him, saying it made no sense. If Code needs to feed you to the 10 tails alive, why would he try to kill you? It was Mitsuki who openly escalated his conversation with Sarada by saying the one thing that Sarada stopped short of saying, which is that the idea of being there face to face with whoever tried to kill Boruto would bring him to an emotional state where he's unable to control himself. Ever since he saw that file on Boruto, there's been a connection there with the two of them, and I think killing Mitsuki off after he confronts Kawaki is both a good way to cross the point of being near unredeemable for Kawaki, keyword there being near, and it would also be a great highlight to one of the themes we have in Boruto as the sequel to Naruto, which is, can science and the world of ninjutsu coexist, and where does science fit in the world of shinobi? Here's the thing, while we all be really sad to see Mitsuki die, including me, I love the character a lot. Mitsuki does fit that role of answering that hard question that we just laid out here. Where does science fit in the world of shinobi? With Mitsuki, Orochimaru has made a clone of himself, but it's important to remember that this isn't the only Mitsuki that is out there. There were other Mitsuki before him, and there are other Mitsuki sitting in chambers right now being developed at this very moment, something that we saw in the anime. Orochimaru was on the fence about downloading the data, i.e. the memories of Mitsuki, for examination and for a time, even considered scrapping the Mitsuki who we know and love today. He's gone as far as to build in a seal to be triggered the moment someone tries to harvest Mitsuki's heart, because Orochimaru doesn't want anyone getting their hands on his research. Mitsuki's Sage Mode, when it's fully unleashed, does damage to his body. One would think that if Mitsuki died in this battle with Kawaki, having pushed the Sage powers to the brink, Orochimaru would study that data and pass it on to the very next Mitsuki. However, the next Mitsuki won't be the one that we know and love today, the one that we associate all things Boruto with and grew to love over the years. Just as Kashin Koji isn't Jiraiya. Even though he's a clone of Jiraiya, he's not the Jiraiya that we love. The next clone of Mitsuki will potentially have a different personality unless Orochimaru is able to download those memories into this new clone, the way Amato did his daughter, but Delta didn't have the same personality despite having all the memories. If Amato didn't find a way around this loophole, we can assume that Orochimaru hasn't found one either. That being said, it does fit into Boruto's theme because cloning is science. Boruto was flat out against the idea and couldn't comprehend the fact that Orochimaru had more than one Mitsuki, the same way that Naruto is getting pissed off about the Shin clones that he saw in Orochimaru's lab, the same way that Sakura got pissed off when she heard Orochimaru had made the Shin clones and she heard Shin refer to the clones as being disposable tools meant to provide him with organs. Nothing more, nothing less. Cloning has always been a touchy subject. Even the theory of cloning in the real world has caused a lot of controversy surrounding it, especially as more breakthroughs are made in the field. We've already seen how Amato both uses clones for his own personal gain in Delta trying to save his daughter, and how he viewed clones as being expendable in Kashin Koji, a tool meant to be discarded. This death would force some of those hard questions on this, making two progressive-minded people in Boruto and Naruto come to grips with where they truly stand in their beliefs of where science fits in the world of ninja, especially if Naruto learns about Kashin Koji and Jiraiya's connection. In fact, I believe this also forces an even harder question because it will be a cyborg, i.e. Kawaki, a human who's been mechanically altered on a cellular level with nanotech, and that cyborg will be killing a clone. It stretches that narrative forward in so many different ways. However, there are other things a death like this could accomplish. For instance, if this is a death that Boruto's unable to prevent from happening, this could be the moment that makes him give up control to Momoshiki, like he was told that he would ultimately do. The death of a teammate, in particular a teammate who was trying to protect Boruto or even avenge Boruto, could mentally destroy Boruto to that point where Momoshiki takes control. Between inevitably struggling to understand his feelings about the next Mitsuki who pops up after Orochimaru pulls one out the cloning chamber, or Boruto realizes that this is what happens when you aren't strong enough to protect those who you care for and you aren't powerful enough in order to alter fate, it's going to be something that adds layers to Boruto's character. Mitsuki, out of all the new gen characters, he feels like the safest one to kill because we literally have multiple versions of Mitsuki waiting in the wings, and science is there for it, and we have a mad scientist in Orochimaru whose hunger for data might push him to taking another Mitsuki out the chamber. That being said, while I don't think this is going to happen, I do think it's at least worth something to talk about given the themes of Boruto, and if it did take place, while I would be deeply saddened by Mitsuki's death, I could see the narrative impact behind it as well. I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts on this is. How would you feel if Mitsuki died and was replaced by a clone? While you think that over, click here to watch this Kryptonian Saiyan video or click here to watch this Naruto Explained video.